Hey, I'm Rob from Producer Tech, and in this tutorial, I'm going to show you some techniques for using a few of the new push features in Live 9.7 to create your own unique grooves. So I've got some loops here from the House It's Deep Loopmasters sample pack, which are making my basic groove. So a solid sound, but not much rhythmically or texturally interesting stuff yet. What I want to do now though is add a loop, which I'm going to slice up to make my own. So I'm adding a default MIDI track, because then what I can do is go into browse mode and find my loop, and then load it onto the track, which adds Simpler onto the MIDI track with the sample loaded into it. In Simpler's default classic mode, you can then play that sample using the different MIDI notes on the pads to repitch the loop but have it stay in time, which is a great new Simpler feature that appeared in Live 9.5. But the update in Live 9.7 is a new slicing mode, which, instead of automatically dividing up the sample by its transients, slices it by divisions of the bar. So now we're in beats mode, which is the slicing option we need. You can then hit the pads on each beat to recreate the loop. Or in a different order to rearrange it. I want to do something a bit more interesting though. So I'll set the division to a 16th note, which then places slices of the loop on all 64 pads. Which could then of course be rearranged manually just by hitting the pads in a random order. One cool way of doing this automatically, however, is first to turn on Push's pad repeat mode and setting it to the same timing as my slicing setting, so 16th notes. Then you get the first slice looping when I hold pad 1. Or pressing different pads is also a nice way of creating a synchronized pattern. But to make things even easier now, I can choose Add Device, then locate a MIDI effect called Random, which is a random MIDI note generator. Then if I turn up the chance parameter to 100%, when I now hold pad 1, we get random slices being triggered every 16th note instead. And I can change the choices parameter to 24 if I want to trigger a wider range of slices, which has a more dramatic effect when using a less repetitive sample. And the benefit of slicing to beats rather than transients is you get all of the slices being exactly the same length, and also some of them being quieter sections, which creates a more interesting overall dynamic. Now though, we might want to lock down something a bit more permanent. So what I'll do is just record in some repeating MIDI notes on my track. Then reduce that to just a looping bar. Then I can add a track, going for an audio track this time. Then when I hit mix, multiple times if necessary to make sure I'm on the correct individual track mix display. And then you can see there's a new input and output option, where you can then set the input for that audio track, which I'm going to set to my Simpler track. Then I'll put the track into record and record in some of my randomly sliced loop. Once that's done, I can bring the loop length on the recording down to 1 bar. Then I can play the loop and change the start position to different points in the recording to find my favorite bit. And if I hold Shift and change the start offset control, I can try out a different groove within each loop as well. So with the new beat slicing options in Simpler and ability to make recordings from Push, you can see how easy it is to take a regular loop and turn it into a large palette of rhythmic variations. See you next time.